Hello and welcome to another edition of the RotorHub International Podcast, as presented by me, Gideon Ewers, editor at RotorHub International. Today I'm talking to Jim John, who is the Chief Commercial Officer with NHV, on what is, a bit of a landmark day for NHV. We're actually recording this at the base at Den Helder, where just had a bit of a celebration with the launch of H160 operations, but there's which is a banner thing. It's the first. You're the first operator to take the type into the North Sea and later in the Baltics. So it's a big thing. But there's a lot of stuff going on within NHV, especially over the last year or so. So let's talk about today in the 160s. I'm a bit biased because I helped to bring one of them up here, but they're looking pretty good, sharp out there on the apron.
Gideon, thanks for inviting me onto the podcast. Pleasure to be here today. 160, fantastic machine, fantastic looking machine, and we're really looking forward to really getting into commercial operations. Launching it here in Den Helder, which has been basically a test pad for us over the years as well, with the successful launch of the 175. Then we took it into Aberdeen, which made a great success of that. So we're hoping that the 160, and we're expecting the 160 to perform in line with the 175 introduction that we did, but also looking to push it into new territories. NHV is looking at new territories. We're in a bit of a growth cycle, I would say, at the moment, but not just looking into the oil and gas markets. We look in defence markets. We're in renewables, and looking to grow across multiple verticals and continuing to make that push into new territories.
Because let's not forget that you were the launch customer for the 175 globally as well.
Yes.
That came from this operation here at Den Helder, and look how that's gone. It's really been a workhorse for you guys.
Yeah, certainly. And I look back to when we launched it, back in 2014. I was based here in Den Helder at the time as a base manager, and it was a real success. And I remember presenting our customer here at the time, Wintershall, with 1,000 hour certificate to say congratulations on your first 1,000 hours after about 7 months of operations. Now we're in hundreds of thousands of hours of operation across multiple territories in the North Sea, with over 13 aircraft on our books with the 175, with 3 new deliveries coming later this year.
Yeah. So when there is always that temptation, isn't there? When you think about the energy market, offshore energy support market, naturally your thoughts turn to oil and gas, but wind's becoming a more significant chunk of the pie for you.
Yeah, absolutely. What we are seeing is the sheer volume of construction of wind parks happening in the North Sea, the Baltics, which is generating quite a lot of hours across multiple platforms right now, to the point where we are saturated with requests trying to generate pilots, engineers and support staff to manage and to support these operations is always a challenge. We're just trying to make sure that we can get these platforms airborne and support these operations, because what we also see after the construction is the operations and maintenance side of things. So the hoisting capabilities, which we launched hoisting capacity and capability on the 175 last year, and that's been a real success, testament to the platform itself. And we are seeing the demand of that growing, not only for larger types of aircraft, but some of the smaller aircraft that we operate as well, 145s, right the way across multiple regions at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, because it's interesting. Do you think there's been a kind of there was a mental block with a number of wind energy operators, suppliers, as I'm talking about the generating companies, where they were wedded to the idea of surface support and surface transport. And they've, in the last year maybe, have woken up to the idea that, oranges are not the only fruit. And helicopters may actually, provide a more cost-effective and actually environmentally friendly
absolutely.
Solution.
What we have seen, I'd say, in the last 10 years is a massive maturity within the procurement channels of the renewables and wind farm operations. We're seeing large companies bringing in aviation experts, ex-pilots, engineers, and people who actually worked in the oil and gas world and wanting to bring sort of IAGP standards towards the wind operations. And from that, we've also seen them, the subject matter expert, championing helicopters within their organisation, which has led to utilisation of helicopters for wind operations a lot more. But what you're also seeing is wind parks being developed further and further offshore. So surface vessels, become an issue to get out, certainly in hostile conditions where we operate. So we are seeing a push towards helicopters from that sense as well. So.
Yeah, because even if you have the sort of fastest wave-piercing catamaran, you're still, even on a flat day, you're only talking about 25 knots, and it's going to take a time to get out to the platform, and that's provided that when you get there, the sea state is such that you can actually get onto the windmill, and in any case, you still have to get the stuff up to where the business end is.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where we come in. That's our hoisting operations have been extremely successful over the last few years. We had operations on 145 and now developed into 175. And we are seeing demand and inquiries across that. But not just that, we are seeing where we're operating into hostile environments that isn't, for example, HEMS or medevac services offshore. So we're seeing lots of more requests saying from wind park operators, we're going to be operating in this area for the next few years and we have no means of rescue other than ship. What can you do for us in terms of providing an offshore HEMS sort of service or like a limited SAR operations and things like that. So these are all things that are ongoing and will develop over the next few years across, again, multiple territories, I think. So so that's seeing that it's still offshore support, but not as you would think it. It is moving into that sort of thing. Where you do see an offshore oil with SAR support or offshore HEMS support in those sort of more challenging environments as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we tend to do work in places where other people don't want to go. Or want to be operating. So it's hostile environments. If you look at the Baltics and the North Sea in itself is a hostile environment to be working in. So ensuring that we have the correct platforms and fast services, for example, helicopters versus vessels, to get out there and deliver. That's what we're really pushing at the moment as well.
You mentioned it just now, talking about the challenges of developing into those new markets, and you touched on the touchstone, which I guess is every kind of aviation operator in the aviation spectrum, from single engine light aircraft operation up to the largest mainline carrier, is recruiting engineers, recruiting pilots. And that pressure, and how do you meet that demand? It's getting the airframes, getting the engineers, getting the pilots. Yeah,
it's tough. So whenever we launch vacancies and do look to grow in particular geographies, personnel and resource is always a challenge for us. How do we combat that? You're always looking at the T's and C's. You're always looking at what we can do to improve on that. But of course, there comes a cost attached to that. So passing that on to the customer or being at least commercially astute to be able to provide the right offer to the customer to win the work in the first place. But then, we're looking at the type of platforms we operate. New technology, pushing that, trying to make it attractive to somebody who's maybe working for other operators or other sort of helicopters, come to work with new technology and
come play with the shiny new stuff.
Exactly, and everyone likes new shiny stuff.
Everybody loves shiny new stuff.
But we need that right balance between our T's and C's, the platforms that we are working with and offering to customers, and trying to create that environment. And it's tough. It's always a tough environment. NHV's gone from a relatively small company over the last maybe 10, 15 years to more of a larger, prominent operator with over 450 staff now based here in Europe and West Africa. And that will only continue to grow. So finding the right people to come through the door is always going to be a challenge, right the way through from admin support into management and into the frontline workers, should we say, the engineering and pilots. So other things that we're doing as well, we've done apprenticeship schemes in the years, and we're looking to relaunch that. We're looking at a variety of different pathways for ab initio pilots to come through. We do have ab initio pilots coming through holding CPLs, but now we're looking at other means and ways that we can maybe attract people into the industry by potentially sponsoring other routes and things like that. So, of course, all that comes at a cost to us, but we are seeing with the the lack of numbers coming into the industry due to probably high barriers of entry in terms of cost, then we as operators, we have a duty to be able to give opportunities to people and young people or anybody looking to come into the industry, to bring them through on that journey and sponsor them into that, and hopefully then gain some, what I would say, some loyalty through that by sponsoring and bringing them through.
Yeah, and this I suppose there are other mechanisms you can have the loyalty side. I guess you can talk about bonding is another solution. But I suppose if you come back to the strong T's and C's are going to generate the loyalty in the first place, even added on top of the fact of being sponsored through and having that tie.
And T's and C's is constantly evolving.
Yeah,
it has to. Because you stay stagnant for any period of time, and somebody else is going to overtake you and take your staff. And it's just trying to create that environment where it's a nice place to come to work, and people feel part of a team, and work in an environment which is safe but also a friendly and fun environment to be in. No, I think I've been in aviation since over 25 years, nearly now 24 years. And take it for granted actually walking out on the flight line or walking into the hangar and seeing aircraft and things. And when I bring customers in or people coming in for a visit, of course, their jaw is usually down to the knees and go, "Oh, wow, this is amazing." And you go, "Well, actually, it is. It's an amazing environment to be in. The aviation is fantastic career, regardless of wherever you're starting. If you're a pilot, you're an engineer, if you're support staff, it's such a challenging, fruitful, and enjoyable environment. It's hard to put a finger on, but it is that sort of thing. I describe it to a young colleague who's still in the industry. I said, look, if you're here in a year, you're never going to escape. You will be sucked into the aviation vortex, and it's one of those industries that it's a bit like the Hotel California. You can check out, but you can never leave. It's that thing. Once it gets its claws into you, it becomes part of your fibre, and maybe that's just me, but it does. It happens to you. I resonate with that absolutely. It gets into your skin. I was the kid who had an airband radio. Used to go to airports to watch aircraft come into land in Cardiff Airport, not far from where I lived. I had an Airliners magazine subscription, so aviation was the only thing I ever wanted to do. However, when I look into our staff and I speak to some of our staff, some people fall into it and never get out of it. As you say, some people come from different industries and go, "Oh, aviation seems okay," and they go, "Wow, this is
something else." Yeah,
highly recommend anybody to join the industry and NHV. And we've got plenty of vacancies open
and
on our
there are plenty
website.
of vacancies. Yeah. So, look, Jamie, I know it's a busy day for you with all the festivities going on down in the hangar. So we're under the cosh on time, but I appreciate you taking the time out. For me, my NHV 160 journey, it was all down to Jamie. We were both heading out to Verticon in March, and Jamie collared me in the departure lounge and said, "Guess what? We're getting 160s." And it's all grown up from
Absolutely.
there.
I seen you across there. I was like, all right, I'll go and see Gideon. We've got 160s coming.
Yeah, we got
be great for you to cover. And thank you for covering the delivery. And today it's been great to have you. And look forward to seeing the output of your work. I suppose it's fantastic.
Coming soon, actually coming in about a week's time. But for now, Jamie, thanks very much for your time. And if you're thinking about an aviation career, whether that's, as Jamie said, whether that's as an engineer, as a pilot, or on the support side, the business side, aviation is in fact a compelling industry to get into. You should check it out. For now, though, Jamie, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Gideon.
And that has been another edition of the RotorHub International Podcast. Join us again next time when we'll be talking all aspects of vertical flight.